Across the Universe, written mainly by John Lennon, is perhaps one of the most spectacular songs the Beatles have ever given us, and is a testament to John Lennon's writing ability, but also his struggles with life, his wife, his band, and feelings of sabotage. This is an important video, probably one of the most important videos I've ever made, and at the end, after I tell the story, I'm going to propose a very controversial question, and I think it would do a lot of good to join the conversation in the comments about how we all feel about the story of Across the Universe. To begin this story, we travel to John Lennon's house in Kenwood, early in the morning, late 60s. And John has this to say about how Across the Universe was written. I was lying next to my first wife in bed, and I was irritated. She must have been going on and on about something, and she'd gone to sleep, and I kept hearing these words over and over, flowing like an endless stream. I went downstairs, and it turned into sort of a cosmic song, rather than an irritated song, rather than a, why are you always mouthing off at me, or whatever, right? But the words stand, luckily, by themselves. They were purely inspirational, and were given to me as boom. I don't own it, It came through like that. I don't know where it came from, what meter it's in, and I've sat down and looked at it and said, can I write another one with this meter? It's so interesting. Words are flying out, like endless rain into a paper cup. They slither while they pass, they slip away across the universe. Such an extraordinary meter, and I can never repeat it. It's not a matter of craftsmanship. It wrote itself. It drove me out of bed. I didn't want to write it. I was just slightly irritable, and I went downstairs, and I couldn't get to sleep until I put it on paper, and then I went to sleep. It's like being possessed, like a psychic or a medium. The thing has to go down. It won't let you sleep, so you have to get up, make it into something, and then you're allowed to sleep. That's always in the middle of the bloody night, when you're half awake or tired and your critical faculties are all switched off. Nearly stream of consciousness, lyrical writing, the song in its execution is playfully cosmic and gentle. Lyrically, one of the most memorable parts is John Lennon's use of the mantra Jai Guru Deva Om. In Hinduism, Jai is a word that roughly means victory, and is said often at Hindu prayers, much like Amen in the Judeo-Christian religions. Put together with Guru Deva Om roughly translates to victory to God divine. This phrase most likely came to John from his time spent with the Maharishi in India. John even believes it may have been the best lyrics ever. He says, "It's one of the best lyrics I've written. In fact, it could be the best. It's good poetry, or whatever you call it, without chewing it. See, the ones I like are the ones that stand as words, without melody. They don't have to have any melody. Like a poem, you can read them." However, though it was written to calm John from his frustrations, it ended up leaving him with a lot of insecurity. Upon hearing the song, the rest of the Beatles decided it would have been better to have Lady Madonna and the Inner Light on the next single instead of Across the Universe, and Across the Universe was instead first released on a charity album entitled No One's Gonna Change Our World. John tried numerous times to get the song the attention it deserved from the rest of the band, especially Paul, but it seemed to fall on deaf ears, and he was ashamed of his initial recording with the band, remarking on its poor quality. He says, "It was a lousy track of a great song, and I was so disappointed by it. It never went out as The Beatles. I gave it to the Wildlife Fund of Great Britain, and then when Phil Spector was brought in to produce Let It Be, he dug it out of the Beatles files and overdubbed it. The guitars are out of tune, and I'm singing out of tune because I'm psychologically destroyed, and nobody's supporting me or helping me with it, and the song was never done properly." Paul McCartney and many fans of the Beatles remark on how they dislike Phil Spector as a producer and as a person, but John seemed to appreciate Phil giving his song a chance and rework for a proper Beatles release. But the damage seemed to have been done, or at least that's how John seemed to feel. John even mentions the Let It Be movie as evidence of his attempts to get Across the Universe the fair shake it deserved, saying anybody who saw the reaction he got when he tried was telling that the band didn't really support him on the project. Finally, this next quote by John I feel is inextricably linked to this Beatles song every time I listen to it. It gives a great new dimension to the mind of a person who could write Across the Universe, but was feeling truly alone. And I think I should just read it to you face to face. The Beatles didn't make a good record of it. I think subconsciously, sometimes I say we, though I think Paul did it more than the rest of us. Paul would sort of subconsciously try and destroy a great song. He subconsciously tried to destroy songs, meaning that we'd play experimental games with my great pieces, like Strawberry Fields, which I always felt was badly recorded. That song got away with it and it worked. But usually we'd spend hours doing little detailed cleaning ups of Paul's songs. When it came to mine, especially if it was a great song like Strawberry Fields or Across the Universe, somehow this atmosphere of looseness and casualness and experimentation would creep in. Subconscious sabotage. He'll deny it because he's got a bland face and he'll say that sabotage doesn't exist. But this is the kind of thing I'm talking about, where I was always seeing what was going on. I began to think, well, maybe I'm paranoid. But it's not paranoid. It's absolute truth. John Lennon said that in 1980, just a few months before he died. That is one of the last explanations we have from him on how he felt his songs were being treated. Now you might be wondering to yourself, what does this matter? Well, there are many music channels on YouTube, but I don't think this one is much of a music channel as it is a people channel. And music brings a lot of joy to people, so I use music to tell human stories, because that above all is what matters to me, people. And speaking of people, we're at what, 41,000 subscribers? Some of you have been there with me since before we got to 100, and I thank you for that. And one thing that makes me super grateful is the comment section. When we discuss things, you guys always have rational debates without malice. You're empathetic and you're kind, and I applaud you for that. So I said I had a question for you, and it's a big one, and I can't wait to see what you have to say in the comments. Here it goes. The question is, do you think Paul McCartney sabotaged John Lennon's songs? Or do you think John Lennon was paranoid? It's a big one. And while you think it over, I'll leave you with a song from my new album. See you next time. As it echoed through the night, then the voices sung, I suppose you could say in tongues. We agreed we liked the style, we listened for a while. Have no fear, the engineers are here, the engineers. Seeing right side wrong, what madness in the tunes made us swoon. They were so perverse, every note